So I reviewed the one previously, but the show's wrapped and they're gonna probably be doing their reunion special. I don't know if I'll have any feedback on that, but the series itself has wrapped, and just want to do a little review about it. Uh, Previously, I told you guys the one is a dating reality show on a journey with one male and one female. They kind of take the journey together as friends, but they each have a set of men that's vying for them. The woman has a set of men, and the men have a set of women that's vying for them, and they have to choose their one. It is hosted by Kirk Franklin and his wife, Tammy. I enjoyed the series overall. I didn't feel the need to do episode by episode. There was a few episodes that stood out to me that I enjoyed, but I said, I'm just going to watch the whole series and come back and just do a final assessment of the show. And for my thoughts, I really like the show. I think it's a good show. I think it takes a little bit of a different spin on our reality dating shows. The main cornerstone one that we watch all the time is like The Bachelor. It has very similar Bachelor, Bachelorette, which is, I don't watch it all the time, but that seems to be the standard when it comes to dating shows. But there's so many different ones today, and it kind of follows that, but it had its own little special spin on it, and I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that they had the dates, like two at a time group dates, where you kind of get to see how one person is versus the other. Then they will have another set of dates with those same two people, plus you get to hang out with the other person that has their two dates and kind of have like a little dinner party every night or every time after a date is over, and reassess and see which person that you like. And at the end of that, you pick one out of the two. Finally, you get about up to 6 people out of all the people you've seen. So the guy gets 6 and the girl gets 6, and they all stay in the same house. And the elimination continues, but it just gets a little bit harder because you've built more of a connection with these people. There's little different challenges they have, and you basically tell at the end which one is your one. I like this too because Ashley was the lady and Brent was the guy. Ashley was breaking all of the rules according to gameplay for this show. At times she would not even pick anyone. At times she would eliminate both people instead of just one, or she would pick both people instead of just one. She did a lot of things that probably were against the book, but I really love that she did that because she didn't just play the game to play the game, but she was playing it in a way what's best for her emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and everything isn't cookie cutter just like life. So she threw us for a loop a few times. She disappeared one time, and after she disappeared, things were never really the same. She emotionally just seemed like she wasn't not completely there. So at the end of the show, she was really close with one guy, and you would assume that she may have picked this guy, but she ends up picking no one and picking herself. So in this case, the one was herself, and she said she wanted to build a relationship with God. I really think she also needs to build her relationship with herself because she just kind of stated she was in a state of confusion. She really didn't know herself. So she definitely needs to build a relationship up with herself as well as her relationship with God. And I'm glad that she recognized that. And she played it the same all the way through. She threw us for a loop all the way through. I really do wish she found her one, but she has more work to do in finding the one within herself. So that was something that I thought was cool about the show. First season, and she broke all the rules. Brent, for the most part, he played the game pretty much straight. He followed all the rules for the most part. The women would break the rules on him though, and some would eliminate themselves, and he found himself having to pull people from past dating that was eliminated. And it's funny that the one lady that he pulled from the past that got eliminated, she ended up being his one. And he followed the rules. He found his one. And I guess we'll find out in the reunion if that lasts. Because I think I was watching another show that has a similar vibe to me called Ready to Love. And I think that's on the OWN network. And these shows are a little different because they do show more of the African American perspective. It's all, for the most part, all African American daters. Sometimes they do have different races in there, but for the most part, it's catered to the more urban market, these shows. But my point of what I was saying on some shows, the happily ever after doesn't happen. Even on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, we've seen many times, and that's more of a mainstream show with mostly Caucasian characters, and they've worked on switching it up and having different races featured, and sometimes you do see a black person or someone of another race on Bachelor, Bachelorette, but I really see that they're doing more to try to diversify and keep people's interest. And now they have the Golden Bachelor, and I haven't been watching or keeping up with that, but just to show you how they're diversifying, the Golden Bachelor is a senior citizen, so they're doing a lot of different things. And it's just like the world, we're all looking for love, and people are dating at all different ages. People have divorced, people have different changes in their life, and widowed, and just so many different things where people find themselves dating again. There are sometimes elements of these shows that it does seem like it's an attention grabber. People are really just going on to get famous, to get seen, to get known for whatever reason. Maybe become more known in their field, maybe just become more known in the social media world, or get some jobs in the acting world. So it's kind of hard to fully say, what are these people really in it for? And I think we'll learn more as we get into the reunion shows, because again, like I said, I saw Ready to Love, that one didn't work. Some of the couples didn't work in that. Sometimes people hook up that weren't even intended to hook up on the show. Like, it's just so many different things that can happen. And it can be really interesting once you see the aftermath of these shows. But, that show was exciting to me from beginning to end. There was some times where it was just, everything kind of went basic and normally, but there was a lot of different loops that I was thrown for a loop many a times, mostly because of Ashley. And again, sometimes because of these ladies, and sometimes the guys, they would do different things, odd things, and you would think they were there to date that person, but they had their own personal issues coming out. They had their own agendas. But one thing I did like was the camaraderie, especially with the guys. They were lifting each other up a lot more than the ladies. The ladies did get a little bit catty, and even some of them turned on Ashley as well. But I think Ashley was a little sensitive in some of the things that she did, and that was her choice. But, the ladies did show some cattiness. But the guys, definitely were, for the most part, I saw no hate. There was a guy that was kind of a troublemaker within the group, and he was not only trouble within the group, he was trouble with the other dater, Brent. So, so some people were in there mixing it up, messing things up, but that's what makes it a little bit more entertaining and less straight laced. So I like when things like that happen on the different dating shows, and I like when they break the rules. So I noticed that, and I learned that about what I like when it comes to watching dating shows, and just the whole fact of things just getting mixed up and turned upside down. And I think a lot of people like that. They like the drama. You have to do something different. You can't just play the game as usual. There has to be something different in there to keep people's attention and want them to come back and see what's going to happen next, keep them wanting more. So I saw that in the first season, and I hope the show continues. I hope that it does well. It was great to see Kirk Franklin do something that was, I think, a little bit mainstream, There are times where I didn't agree with some of his language early on, but later on, you know, I think he kind of settled into his role and he was more of himself and he kept it more gospel. He kept it more church, which is where he comes from. But we do know, again, like I mentioned the other time when I reviewed this, that there was a scandal when he was cussing his son out. So we know that he is not perfect. He is not the straight-laced church person that some may think he is or should be. And, that's another story for another day. And, of course, we don't always live up to what we should or what we believe we should. There's a different lesson in that when it comes to his story. But overall, the show, The One, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the two very separate and different paths that each of the main people took when it came to finding the one and it came to finding love. And, I can relate, especially with Ashley. She was somewhat of a roller coaster. A lot of the decisions and choices she made, I would have made, but at the end, when she just chose no one, but herself, sometimes you do have to make that choice. For me, I see why she made that choice, because I didn't see the connections were strong enough for her to move forward into that type of relationship. Now, I was very proud that she did that, because many times I do feel the daters on shows like The Bachelor, again, feel this pressure to propose to someone, feel this pressure to, do as the rules of the show says that you should do. And that's a part of the contract, maybe. But, and you don't want to disappoint the fans and all that. But, you really have to do what's going to be best for you in your life and your lifestyle. In the long run, I don't think it's a good idea to string someone along for a show and to do what's expected just because this is a show. Life doesn't work like that, and you may be on a dating show trying to find the one and you really don't find the one. I mean, that's just life. And that's our journey in life in general. You may think you're with somebody that you think is the one and you guys are going to get married, but something happens and the engagement is broken, get left at the altar. Things happen in life. So just because something says, you're supposed to be finding your one and this is the premise of the show, that doesn't mean that it's actually going to be that. And I like the fact that it breaks. In this season, she broke out of that stereotype that it has to be that way. Now, I've seen other shows where it's happened from time to time, but this is season 1. So what can they do next season to really mix it up and stir it up? It does depend on the people. Sometimes you really like the people that are on the show. That kind of brings me back to watch. But sometimes it's just the drama and the different things that happen that brings you back to the shows, and you want to see what's going to happen next. Sometimes it's the different challenges that they have on there. So it's a mixed bag. I was entertained at the end of the day, and I enjoyed watching The One. And I look forward to seeing if season 2 is worth me keeping an eye on as well. So guys, have you watched The One? What dating shows are you watching right now? We talk about faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. I want to know your thoughts and comments. You can drop them below depending on the platform you're on. And if you can't drop them below, you guys can always email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. Thanks, guys, and God bless.